Good morning, everyone. We have started with diseases of the pleura. In last lecture, we have completed with pneumothorax, and the next topic from diseases of pleura is hemothorax. Okay, I think you have better understood with pneumothorax, and now we'll move to the topic, that is hemothorax. Hemothorax is blood in the pleural cavity and may occur in variety of conditions and is often associated with air as well. So what's the definition of hemothorax? It is blood in the pleural cavity. Pleural cavity, I have explained you in the last lecture. The pleural cavity is the cavity that is between the visceral pleura and the parietal pleura. Okay, so when there is accumulation of blood in the pleural cavity, which is often associated with air, that condition is called as hemothorax. Okay, the respiratory and cardiac movements defibrillate the blood as it reaches the pleural cavity, so it remains in fluid state, and massive clotting occasionally occur in the pleural cavity. So because of the respiratory movements and because of the cardiac movements, the blood is defibrillated when it reaches to the pleural cavity. When the blood reaches to the pleural cavity, the respiratory movements and the cardiac movements doesn't allow that blood to clot. Okay, so it remains in fluid state, and therefore the massive clotting of the blood occasionally occur. Okay, so when the blood enters into the pleural cavity, it will remain most of the time it will remain in the fluid state only. Okay, as this blood is a pleural irritant, when the blood goes into the pleural cavity, blood is the pleural irritant. Okay, when it reaches to the pleural cavity, it will produce pain and shock in early stages. So whenever the blood passes to the pleural cavity, as this blood is a pleural irritant, when it reaches in the pleural cavity, it will produce pain and also shock in early stages. Okay, and later it forms effusion. Okay, so whenever the blood enters into the pleural cavity, there will be pain, and patient may go in shock like condition, and later on there will be effusion formation. Okay, also blood is a good culture medium. Okay, as it is an excellent culture medium, infection is very common in pleural cavity. So whenever a fluid that enters into the pleural cavity, or when the blood enters into the pleural cavity, as this blood is a good culture medium, various bacteria may form, and there will be infection in the pleural cavity. Okay, so this is hemothorax. Okay, the definition is, again I will repeat, definition is blood in the pleural cavity associated with air, and this blood will remain in fluid state in the pleural cavity most of the times because of respiratory movements and cardiac movements, and the massive clotting of that blood it may occasionally occur. Okay, as well as the blood is a pleural irritant. It will cause, when the blood enters into pleura, it will cause irritation of pleura, so that irritation will cause pain, and patient may land into shock like condition in early stages, and later on there will be effusion. Okay, also the blood is a excellent culture medium. Blood is a good culture medium, so there will be infection is very common when blood enters into the pleural cavity. Now we'll move to the causes of hemothorax. The first cause of hemothorax is trauma. When there is any accidental injury or stabbing wound by injury by any sharp instrument on the chest, then that trauma or accidental injury may lead to collection of blood in the pleural cavity. Next cause is post-operative causes. Following any pulmonary or cardiac or any esophageal operations, there may be collection of blood. Then cervical sympathectomy, and occasionally after the introduction of central venous pressure monitor line in the neck, that may also cause collection of blood in the pleural cavity. Okay, so following any pulmonary, cardiac or esophageal surgeries, cervical sympathectomy, occasionally by introduction of CVP monitor line in the neck, that these are the procedures from which blood may collected into the pleural cavity. So these are the post-operative causes. The next one is it may be associated with new growths of lung or mediastinum or pleura. So this is one of the cause, that is collection of pleura may be associated with any new growth in the lung or in the mediastinum or pleura may cause bleeding in the pleural cavity, collection of blood in the pleural cavity. Next cause is leaking aneurysm. You all know about the aneurysm. What is aneurysm? Okay, when it leaks, then there may be collection of that blood into the pleural cavity. So leaking aneurysm is the one of the cause for hemothorax. Aneurysm is dilatation of the arteries. Okay, then last one is spontaneous causes. There may be spontaneous bleeding in the pleural cavity without any lung pathology, or may be associated with lung pathology, that may also lead to collection of blood in the pleural cavity. So these are the causes of hemothorax. Okay, we have seen the definition and some important points of hemothorax, and what will the clinical features of hemothorax? That is, first one is pain. As the blood enters into the pleural cavity, there will be pain, because we have seen that blood is a pleural irritant, so it causes irritation to the pleura and there will be pain. Then patient in early stages, as blood enters into the pleural cavity, patient may land into shock like condition because patient can't breathe properly. There will be collection of blood in the pleural cavity, so there will be difficulty in breathing. So patient has to be first admitted into the hospital. Okay, then we'll move to the treatment of the hemothorax. Initially, the treatment is to relieve the pain, to relieve the shock and blood loss. Okay, first treatment, when the patient comes to your hospital, then you have to first relieve the pain of the patient. You have to relieve the You have to see the relieve the shock-like symptoms of the patient, and the blood loss should be maintained. Okay, if the signs of persistent bleeding are present, then you have to do thoracotomy. Okay. Aspirations are done after 24 hours after onset, and these are repeated till no more fluid or x-ray is clear. Okay, so aspiration of blood is done, and it is repeated until you find no more fluid that comes through the aspiration, or when the up to the x-ray is clear. So that is the aspiration. Then if infection is there, then repeated aspiration and instillation of suitable antibiotic is done. So if the infection if the patient is having fever, temperature, etc., then there will be infection. So you have to do repeated aspirations, you have to remove the blood from the pleural cavity, and then instillation of suitable antibiotic is done. So you have to give a proper antibiotic to the patient. So once again I will repeat the treatment part. The initial treatment is to relieve the pain, to relieve the shock of the patient, and blood loss. If these signs remain persistent, signs of persistent bleeding are present, then thoracotomy is done. The aim of the treatment is to remove the blood by aspiration as early as possible. Okay, you have to remove the blood from the pleural cavity as early as possible by aspiration, and this aspiration is started 24 hours after the onset. Okay, and this is repeated daily until no more fluid is obtained and x-ray appears clear, up to x-ray appears clear and no more fluid is obtained. Okay, then afterwards early and vigorous breathing exercise are advised. Okay, and if the signs of persistent bleeding are present, then thoracotomy is done. The next part is treat clotted hemothorax. If there is a clotted hemothorax, how we will diagnose the clotted hemothorax is when aspirating needle fails to remove the collection of blood. When you have introduced the needle for aspiration, it fails to remove the collection of blood, then you can say there is clotted blood is clotted in the pleural cavity. So that condition is clotted hemothorax, and the liquefaction of clot is done with the two medicines, that is with streptokinase or trypsin ferment. Okay, the liquefaction of clot is possible with streptokinase or trypsin ferments, and the initial dose of streptokinase is 2 lakhs units of streptokinase or 1 ml of tripur injected into the clot. Okay, 2 lakhs units of streptokinase or trypsin ferment. Trypsin ferment is about 1 ml injection is injected into the clot, and the aspiration is performed after 24 hours, and further doses can be given if initial dose is not effective. In many instances, however, the result is unsatisfactory and thoracotomy with evacuation of clot and decortication of lung is required. So when there is clotted hemothorax is it is diagnosed when the aspirating needle fails to remove the collection of blood. Okay, and you have to liquefy that clot. Okay, for liquefaction of that clot you have to use the streptokinase or trypsin ferment. Okay, and the dose of streptokinase is 2 lakhs units, or the dose of trypsin ferment is 1 ml injection that is injected into the clot, and then aspiration is performed after 24 hours. And further, the dose can be given if that initial injection is not effective, and in many instances the result is unsatisfactory and thoracotomy with evacuation of clot and decortication of lung is required. So the result of this streptokinase and trypsin, they are unsatisfactory in most of the cases, and lastly you have to go for thoracotomy with an evacuation of the clot and decortication of the lung. Okay, so that is the treatment of clotted hemothorax. So whenever lastly when there is infected hemothorax, that is when there is infection, that should be treated initially with repeated aspirations, and you have to give a proper antibiotic to the patient, and early drainage and decortication will probably be that may be required owing to difficulty of sterilizing and aspirating the hemothorax if clotting has occurred. So for infected hemothorax, repeated aspirations are done and proper antibiotics should be given. Okay, so whenever this patient comes to the hospital with hemothorax, that is collection of blood in the pleural cavity, he is mostly he is in shock like condition. So you have to first relieve the pain of the patient, you have to treat the shock, you have to treat the blood that has been lost. So first vigorous treatment that is taken whenever the patient comes to your casualty in the hospital, that treatment is ICD, that is intercostal drainage. In the how the intercostal drainage is performed is you have to take a slit in the intercostal muscles and you have to drain the blood from the pleural cavity. That is the treatment you have to do in the casualty. It may be done in the casualty only, and as that blood is removed, patient will breathe properly. Okay, so and then afterwards the next treatment is done. First you have to remove the blood from the pleural cavity, that is through ICD, that is intercostal drainage. Okay, this is all about the hemothorax. Once again, in shortly briefly will summarize the hemothorax. Okay, so hemothorax is blood in the pleural cavity. It is often associated with air. Okay, then the blood will remain in the fluid state in pleural cavity because of respiratory and cardiac movements. Okay, and occasionally there will be clot formation. Then next important point is blood is a pleural irritant. As it is a pleural irritant, when it reaches to the pleural cavity, it will produce pain and it will also produce shock in the early stages, and later on there will be effusion. Also, blood is an excellent culture medium so there will be infection that will be most commonly occur. Okay, then the causes of hemothorax are trauma. Trauma is the most important cause of hemothorax. Then some following up post-operative procedures that may lead to hemothorax. Then it may be associated with new growth in the lung or in the mediastinum or in pleura. Next cause is leaking aneurysm, and last one is spontaneous hemothorax. Spontaneously there may be collection of blood in the hemothorax in the pleural cavity. Okay, and the clinical features are same as that. There will be severe pain in the chest, as well as with patient will be in shock like condition. Okay, so you have to monitor that. Then treatment is most important treatment is to relieve the pain, then shock, and you have to relieve the blood loss. Okay, then whenever patient comes to your hospital to your casualty, the procedure that is done is ICD, that is intercostal drainage, and the blood is removed by the intercostal drainage from the pleural cavity. Okay, the aim of the treatment is to remove the blood by aspiration as early as possible, and aspiration is started after 24 hours of onset, and there will be the aspiration should be repeated daily until no more fluid is obtained or X-ray is that appears clear. And afterwards, if the signs of persistent bleeding are present, then thoracotomy is done, and afterwards early breathing and vigorous exercises are advised. If there is clot formed in the pleural cavity, then the diagnosis of that is by when aspirating the needle, it fails to remove the collection of blood. So you can diagnose that there is clotted hemothorax, and the liquefaction of clot is done with streptokinase injection or trypsin. And if the result is unsatisfactory, then you have to go for thoracotomy with evacuation of clot, and decortication of the lung is required. And last one is, if there is infection, then initially you have to repeat the aspiration. The aspiration is repeated with suitable antibiotics. Okay, this is all about the hemothorax. The next one is the next condition from disease of pleura is pleural effusion. Okay, normally the pleural cavity is constantly bathed in fluid with exudate from visceral pleura, and that is absorbed by parietal pleura. Okay, the pleural cavity is constantly bathed in serous fluid which is exudated from visceral pleura, and that is absorbed by parietal pleura. So when there is any disturbance in this balance, that will cause accumulation of fluid in the pleural cavity, and that condition is called as pleural effusion. Okay, so I explained in last lecture that pleural cavity, that is the cavity between the visceral pleura and parietal pleura, it has about 10 to 15 ml of fluid, and that fluid is exudated from visceral pleura, and that is absorbed by the parietal pleura. So these two layers of the lungs, they glide or slide on each other normally. Okay, and when there is any disturbance in this balance, that means when there is accumulation of more than 15 ml of fluid in the pleural cavity, that will lead to that condition is known as pleural effusion. That means accumulation of fluid in the pleural cavity, that is called as pleural effusion. Okay. Now, when there is disturbance in osmotic or hydrostatic pressure, that produces transudate. That means transudate is formed when there is disturbance in osmotic or hydrostatic pressure. The next one is when there is inflammatory lesion in the pleural cavity. When there is inflammation, there will be exudate formation. And if there is neoplasm in the pleural cavity or in the lung, then blood stained fluid may be present in the pleural cavity, that is accumulated into the pleural cavity. Okay, so these are the causes how the fluid is formed in the pleural cavity. One is disturbance in osmotic and hydrostatic pressure, that will produce transudate. When there is any inflammatory lesion, then there will be exudate formation. And when there is neoplasm, that is new growth in the pleura or in the lung, the fluid that is collected in the pleural cavity will be blood stained. Okay, now when the pleural fluid or when there is collection of fluid in the pleura, it first gravitate to the most dependent part of chest, and the most dependent part of chest is costophrenic angle, posterior costophrenic angle. Okay, when there is collection of fluid in the pleural cavity, the fluid will gravitate to the most dependent part of the chest, and the most dependent part of the chest is posterior costophrenic angle. And later on there will be adhesion formation and loculation. So pleural fluid will produce stony dullness with absent breath sounds, and there will be displacement of mediastinum to the opposite side. So when there is fluid in the pleural cavity, it will produce stony dullness. When you percuss on the chest, there will be stony dullness, and there will be absent breath sounds will be absent, and there will be displacement of the mediastinum to the opposite side. Now diagnosis, how to that will be on when you examine the patient, that is on examination, there is stony dullness, absent breath sounds, and displacement of mediastinum to the opposite side. Then diagnosis is done by aspiration needle, by needle aspiration. Then bacterial and biochemical as well as cytological analysis of the fluid is done. Then needle biopsy can be done for pleura, and thoracoscopic examination and biopsy of pleura is done, and last one is thoracotomy. So with the help of these diagnostic procedures, you can diagnose the condition of pleural effusion. Okay, once again I will repeat the diagnosis, that is by needle aspiration. Then you have to collect the fluid, that is sent for bacteriological, biochemical or cytological analysis of the fluid is done. Then needle biopsy can be done of pleura. Then thoracoscopic examination by scopy is done, and biopsy of pleura that should be done, because new growth or neoplasm may cause collection of fluid, so you have to do biopsy also. And last one is thoracotomy. Then in addition to these local measures, careful assessment of lung and heart is required, and you have to search for distant neoplasm. That should be done, that is Meigs syndrome, that is ovarian fibroma. Or ovarian carcinoma. Okay. So this is all about the pleural effusion. The hemothorax and pleural effusion that may be asked in exam for short note. Okay. And okay, this is all about the pleural effusion and hemothorax.